I'm gonna start over from the beginning of the Wily Castle, and I'm gonna tell you why. When little Babby Rabbit got sent to bed when he was like 7 or 8 years old, and he had nothing to go off of but the password and his disappointment, you had to start over there too. And it's not just because I'm too lazy to go back to the spot I was when I stopped streaming last time. No, I've already spent about 15 minutes grinding for screws to fill up on E-Tank so I don't get butt-fucked by the Twin Devils again. And I'm not, like, borderline drunk this time, so maybe I'll get through it with a little bit less brain damage. So, let's begin. I do have coffee though, so I apologize if my slurping picks up on this shitty little mic that came with my controller. All in all, I feel like I gave off the impression last time that I hate Mega Man 9, and I don't. I'm just frustrated by it. It's the first Mega Man game that we had gotten since, you know, Mega Man and Bass, which is a Mega Man game I do fucking hate. Like, Mega Man 9 is fine for what it is, but when Mega Man 10 came around, reusing the retro aesthetic like they did just feels like it was such a cop-out. Like, Inti Creates does some fantastic work, they have beautiful sprite work. It just feels like it could have been so much better than what it was. Which, if you've checked out, you know, Mighty Switch Burst or the Azure Striker Gunvolt series since I've played, it's on par with the Mega Man Zero games on Game Boy Advance. Alright. Okay. Oh shit, that's right, yeah. As the years go by when I play Mega Man games, when I was a kid, I would never go to the castles without a full pocket of E-Tanks. But as an adult, I could care less, and I'll go in with like maybe 2 or 3. Obviously that was my downfall last time, so I've got about 7 of them now, if you include the Mega Tank. Mega Tank, Mystery Tank, whatever people want to call it. People fight over it for years. I think it's been called both since then. I am going to grind for energy here. Which, if you want your Mega Man autism fun fact of the day, because Mega Man is solar powered, the health items are light bulbs, and the energy items for your weapons are batteries. Am I done? Yep. Someday I'll get better at filling in dead air. I don't ever plan on being a super famous, popular streamer. I only ever do this for friends and the occasional drop-by viewer. And in case you can't notice, I stutter like a motherfucker, and this helps. I would like to get back on one topic I started last time, which is the idea that Mega Man games are considered this, if you will, the Dark Souls of NES. How everybody talks like they're this horrible gauntlet of just absolute nightmares and stupid deaths like an idiot, like I've been doing. And maybe it's just because I'm the kind of person who doesn't get mad in the first place. But I don't get frustrated, I just kind of keep going. I'm like the Bob Ross of video games. I'm not gonna be one of those, like, controller throwing, "Ooh, the game devs suck," kind of people. Alright. I haven't legitimately thrown a tantrum at a video game since I was a kid. And I beat, believe it or not, I beat Wonderful 101 on 101% hard and unlocked Bayonetta before they patched in the cheat code that just gave her to her, if you can believe that. So whether I just have, you know, an iron will, or just happen to be that stupid good at video games. Like I said, achievements and ignorance. Sometimes I pull off some incredible shit. And this was the kind of shit Rush was made for. Just the tiny little things you could not care less about. You just want to bypass. And I finally did figure out what all that saving is supposed to be, by the way. If you go into this menu, it lets you save your checkpoint anytime that it auto-saves. In fact, I'm going to turn that off. Because we're not bitches, and when we get game over, we get good. You gotta have thumbs of steel if you want to play Mega Man. In fact, I should probably start attempting to dodge so that I don't have to waste those E-tanks I just ground for. And see? You put in a little bit of effort, you don't have to waste your E-tanks. Which I'm probably going to burn all the E-tanks here anyway. The Yellow Devil is a notoriously difficult boss in Mega Man, depending on whichever version of him you come across. And the Twin Devil in 9 is of course no slouch as well. Honestly, I think my favorite version of the Yellow Devil would have to be the Jello Devil from Mega Man 8. There's just something so fun about the little eyeball. Like the little, well, not, of course it's the little eyeball, but the little robot eyeball. And they just kind of made it interesting all over again. The little goop boss that it follows you around and all that stuff. And believe it or not, the Mega Man Zero series had a Yellow Devil boss. It had a slime monster in Mega Man Zero 1 that acted like a sort of boss of the intro level to the finale of the game. And the Mega Man Zero games are something I'd like to stream someday as well. Sort of these legendary difficult games that I thought they got easier as they go on. Mega Man Zero 2 is probably my favorite for no particular reason. 4 was pretty good too. That was the one where you could, you had the Zero Knuckle and you could just rip enemies and weapons and shields off. Mega Man Zero series in general just had some really fantastic designs. I really liked the designs of the Copy X robots you fought. And I have one of the original versions of Mega Man Zero from the launch of the Game Boy Advance, when the Copy robots still bled, so they didn't take the blood out yet. And it's always fun. I like having different versions of games. Like I've got the original Ocarina of Time that still has Ganon's red blood in it too. Happy little accidents. So as long as I'm going to be repeating these levels, I'd like to start filling in some of the dead air with Mega Man trivia. So, the origin of the Mega Man series is kind of similar to the origin of the Mario series. Once upon a time, there was going to be an Astro Boy game for the Nintendo Entertainment System. And kind of at the last second, they couldn't secure the rights, and they had this semi-completed game sitting around, and they were like, well shit, what are we gonna do? And then artist turned con man Keiji Inafune had some designs laying around where he's like, well, what if I just kind of flubbed Astro Boy's design a little bit? And so Mega Man was born. And the original Mega Man has a score system when other Mega Man games don't, because at the time Nintendo games also had arcade releases. So the original intent was, at one point, Mega Man was going to have an arcade release that just never happened. And so, the score system was removed in later Mega Man games. I apologize, I'm getting a little bit of a cold, too. But the really cool kind of last-minute alteration was when the Super Nintendo came out. A lot of Nintendo games got ported to the Super Nintendo as Super blah blah blah. And, you know, Nintendo re-releasing games has always been a thing. This is nothing new. So you would have things like, you know, you had Star Wars, but then you had Super Star Wars, or you had even dumb shit, like you'd have Alfred Chicken, but then you had Super Alfred Chicken. Just things like that. And Mega Man, at least Mega Man 1 through 3, was going to get a re-release called Super Mega Man. And they had a brand new design ready and all kinds of things like that. And at the last minute they were like, well, this design looks way too different. Why don't we use it for a brand new Mega Man instead? And so that was the birth of Mega Man X. And if you look at some of the original concept art for Mega Man X, he's got some, like, ridiculous, like, 90s technology going on. He's got the radio antenna sticking out of his head. He almost kind of looks like a fighter pilot. He's got some jutting, sort of ninja armor-looking stuff on him. We're gonna trust the energy balancer to fill whatever weapon I was missing. But I own all of the Mega Man art books, you know, Mega Man X, Mega Man Zero, Battle Network. I've got a Japanese import for one of them. Let's go ahead and brave this pathway to get another E-Tank. Ah! Should have seen that coming. We should spawn at the little holding area before the water, though. Yeah, see? It's all fine. And a lot of people will knock you for buying art books if you're not an artist. And at one point, I did want to be an artist. I was just never that good at it. The fun thing about art books is I like seeing some of the original designs. So like, I believe it was Mega Man X3 that was going to have like translucent armor as X's armor upgrade, and while that never ended up happening, it still made for some good artwork. And, you know, you have things like Zero was originally supposed to have his own ultimate armor instead of getting just generic black colored armor. Oh, can I make this jump? I feel like that should be a quote on a review for Mega Man 9. Can I make this jump? Ah! Nope. I fucked up. I think one thing about the Mega Man series that people don't actually know is there's actually a longer running plot than people would think. The Mega Man 1 through 6 on the NES all take place 1 year after each other, and Mega Man 1 through 5 on the Game Boy take place in between each one on the NES. So in other words, the original game, Mega Man Dr. Wily's Revenge, takes place in between Mega Man 1 and 2, which is why it has bosses from 1 and 2. And I'm gonna try something real stupid here. Real stupid. Oh, yeah, it was stupid. Good thing we got that life. And there's a kind of long-running plot line going on in between each Mega Man game. So little details that go in the instruction manual that a lot of people glass over because, well, unless you're me and you were getting these games new as they were coming out, you wouldn't have the instruction manual. But after the events of Mega Man 4, Dr. Cossack wanted to apologize to Mega Man, so he helped Dr. Light create the Super Mega Buster. And there's a reason that Mega Man 1 through 3 refer to Mega Man's arm cannon as just the plasma cannon, and it's not until Mega Man 4 that he gets the Mega Buster. So what happens is, in Mega Man 4, Dr. Light creates the Mega Buster, which is the supercharged shot. But it's just the laser cannon because it doesn't have like a good design to it. So that's why it's that weird, kind of elongated, almost sperm-looking shot. And by the time Mega Man 4 on the Game Boy happens, Dr. Cossack helps Mega Man create, or helps Dr. Light create a new version of the Mega Buster, but it's so powerful that it's what causes the kickback in Mega Man 4 on the Game Boy. You had a very noticeable Mega Man would fly backward as if he did a tiny step when you fire your charge shot. And by the time of Mega Man 5 on the NES, Dr. Light and Dr. Cossack refined their designs together and created the Super Mega Buster, which is how Mega Man finally has the charge shot that doesn't send him flying, but it still has the size of the charge shot from, you know, later Mega Man games. And one feature they added to Mega Man games that I would like to see make a comeback, and I hope it does make a comeback in Mega Man 11, was, at one point, I have a couple friends who want to make a game, and I had hoped to join in on them, and I want to do a recreation of Mega Man 5 on the Game Boy. And not to spill my ideas out into the public or anything, but I want the Mega Arm to have a much, much bigger involvement with the game than just being a fist you shoot out. Like, I kind of want to incorporate, you know, Bionic Commando. Well, you can swing with it, or you can pull enemies to you. You can kind of like how the grapple beam is a lot more involved in Samus Returns on the 3DS. You're pulling out blocks and pulling on things with it. It's not just a grappling hook. Like any other dork on the internet, I've got a huge folder of Word documents full of game design ideas I'd like to pull off one day. I never will. But, I'm just the kind of person that, I like to take off a lot more than I can chew. I mean, I'm a med student. That should be, obvious by itself, but I'm the kind of person that one day I'll wake up and I'll be like, you know what, I feel like learning how to make music today, or I'm gonna go pull my engine apart and see what it's made out of. I was always that kid. And I have to show for it a bunch of, you know, I've downloaded music programs on my computer that I barely touch. I've downloaded Blender that I don't even look at. I've got a bunch of horrible 3D models that make shovelware PlayStation games look absolutely adorable. But I honestly believe that you need a little bit of failure. I'm not going to be one of those people who thinks that every homeless man on the sidewalk is a physicist waiting to happen, but at the same time, you never know what your niche is. And that's kind of one of the things that you discover as an adult. Like, when I was a child, and I fell in love with the human body, I just had the nebulous, well, I want to be a doctor. And you would ask me what I want, and it's just, I want to be a doctor. I couldn't give you a straight answer. I couldn't tell you what kind of doctor I wanted to be. But as I've grown, and as I've watched medical shows, and watched surgeries broadcasted on YouTube and Twitch and things like that, you kind of come to the conclusion of, well, I like this, I'm going to do this. And that's where I decided, you know, I want to be a cardiothoracic surgeon. So that's what I mean. Like, if you have like a vague interest in art, if you have a vague interest in music, there's no shame in kind of farting around and seeing what you want to do. Don't pigeonhole yourself. Don't think, well, my dad plays the guitar, and I like music, so I'm going to play the guitar like my dad, you know. Yes, you're going to have a little bit of a better teacher, because, you know, depending on how well your theoretical dad plays the guitar, maybe he's really good at it, maybe he kind of sucks, but maybe you're interested in music, but you're a really good clarinet player, and you just don't realize it yet. Or maybe you try to give life advice while playing Mega Man poorly. You never know. I forgot. Oh god. Okay. I think they stopped doing it at Mega Man 7, but they used to take your E-tanks away when you died. And that's just not fun for anybody. And I did a little bit of research while I was grinding for E-tanks earlier. So for those of you who don't own Legacy Collection 2 yet, or those of you who are planning on getting Legacy Collection 2, or those of you who are in the same boat that I was in the other night and you already own it, to get to Proto Man, you have to go into a sub-menu in the main menu of the Legacy Collection, which, if you're rolling your eyes at how stupid that is, you're not alone. So, you can't just start Mega Man 9. For whatever reason, they did not just make it easier on everyone and just put in a fully DLC'd up version of the game. Instead, they've got the most base version of Mega Man 9 as what you actually select in the menu, and to get to, you know, Proto Man mode and other challenge modes, you have to go into the other challenges on the main menu of the Legacy Collection screen, which is really, really stupid. But I can't fault these guys too much. If there's one thing I really like about the people who've made the Legacy Collections, and now, oh, god damn it, I did it again. But if there's one thing I really like about the people who made the Mega Man Legacy Collection, and now you can add the Disney Capcom collection to that too, which I have that, by the way. I would love to stream that as well someday. These guys are not happy until they have made perfect emulation. So, a lot of people complain about little things in the Mega Man Legacy Collection 1, not realizing that that is the most legit version of Mega Man you could play. I mean, these guys pride themselves on making sure that the games absolutely play like they originally did. God damn it. Well, there goes a life. Damn it! Overshot it. Maybe it's good there's no rapid fire in this collection. That's another reason the Laser Trident is popular with people who do runs of this game. You can cut through shields and you don't give a shit. Now that is a dick move, putting a... I'm pretty sure I said the same thing the other night. Putting a life net there. It's just an asshole move. Okay, now I'm just gonna be honest. I'm not gonna waste anybody's fucking time more than I have to. I'm gonna look up this thing's weakness real quick. I always joke around I'm the most incompetent person on Twitch, but... Alrighty. Okay, so it is the black hole bomb. I was right. So, we're gonna not waste our weapon energy. We're just gonna fight this thing the best we can. I believe this is the only time in Mega Man that you're ever slightly teleported askew from the center of the screen. And this is why we ground for the E-tanks. So if you've ever read the Mega Man Mega Mix manga, there's a really touching story about the Yellow Devil in there. And I don't know if it was ever accepted by Capcom to be canon, but essentially what it is the Yellow Devil was a child's toy that was reprogrammed by Wily into being like some sort of goop harnessing. It's been a while since I've read it, but essentially, the Yellow Devil was made out to be this extremely childlike, growling monster. And it has a really touching ending I don't want to spoil. The Yellow Devil bosses are always really easy as long as you don't get really psycho about preemptive jumping like I do, and I'm gonna use an energy tank just so we don't die. Alright, I need to go refresh my coffee, so I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. One of the downsides to the way I live my life is I pretty much have to be caffeinated at all times. And I drink my coffee like a man. It's blacker than Detroit, and I only put a little bit of cream in it. No sugar. There we go. This pissed me off so bad when this first came out. Just what a completely obtuse. Wasting up all my weapons. But it just seemed so pointless. Like, oh, forget it. I'm not even. I'd rather just take the damage. Like, one of the fun of Mega Man games is always finding different ways to use your weapons, but it just seems like, alright, this one I am... Couldn't possibly miss that one. Little B. Touch that life. Yeah. And we're gonna refill Black Hole Bomb because it needs it the most. Hey, Snicky Snack. And here we have it, the infamous Wily Capsule Teleportation Rooms. Mega Man Powered Up actually answered the question of why you fight them a second time. And it's the fact that they're lifeless clones. And I really liked how Powered Up handled it, because they had like the slightly dimmer colored bodies and glowing red eyes, and their interactions with you were significantly different. And we're gonna fight him like a man. When I first got Mega Man 9 on Wii, Galaxy Man was actually the first boss I fought. Which I don't know if I've mentioned that before. I don't have any kind of Nintendo bias, but there's just something about that Nintendo stank that at the time, I mentioned before, I had my dad's horrible knob TV, and so playing Mega Man 9 on the Wii, on the knob TV, before I got my component cables, it's just something really nice about that. So it kind of felt like a real NES game. And I will say now that playing this on my PS4, on my goddamn 4K smart TV, is a little... is weird. Well, I purposely put off buying Yooka-Laylee, and I fucking backed that shit, but I purposely put off buying it just so I could get the Switch version, because despite the fact that the last time I played Banjo-Kazooie was the Xbox 360 versions, and the Xbox 360 versions are incredible, by the way. It's just something, I don't know, I just had this weird thing where it's like, well, I first played it on Nintendo, so... Oh no, I was a total bitch. I got so burned by Mighty Number 9 that I only gave like $20. In fact, I'm still pissed because I backed Half-Baked Hero for like $50 and I still don't have my blue Shantae costume. Because I'm dumb, Sink. Hey! No, when it comes to Kickstarter, good old Drunk Uncle Rabbit has a very, very sordid history. I gave $200 to fucking Mighty Number 9, and we see how well that fucking turned out. I gave like 50 to Half-Baked Hero, and then I gave like 20 to Yooka-Laylee. And the ones I wish I could have backed, like Shovel Knight, oh, wrong one. You know, the thing that hurts the most is, I gave the most money to Mighty Number 9 and my name wasn't even in the credits. I didn't give my full name or a pseudonym yet at that point. So, I believe I'm in, I haven't beaten Yooka-Laylee yet, so I don't know if I'm in the credits or not. Or if I'm in the credits properly. But, basically. I do know I'm in the Shantae credits, so I'm happy for that. But I didn't get my blue costume. And I will continue to be butthurt about that. So, I basically just got right into it, but this Wily boss is a fucking pain in the ass. Because you have to have this Zelda-style tennis match with these goddamn eggs. But, you can crack them if you shoot them for too long. Oh, fuck, I only have... Nope, that's not it. Huh? Well, this is the one where we gotta beat it. This was always the thing that would make my parents come mute the TV. I was showing Fujo the other night. I said, I will show you the exact goddamn thing that would piss my dad off every time. And he would just come into the room fucking screaming if I had my TV too loud. And you know, there's the Mega Man 8 boss, Astro Man. And if you hit him with his fucking weakness fast enough, you get that awful, this can't be happening, this can't be this can't be this can't be happening. And Jesus Christ, my dad would just fucking kick in the damn door. But I was also a little asshat of a kid who had it turned up way too loud. So this is the bane of my fucking existence. I despise the Wily Machine. I hate it. It's such a cop-out boss. You could have had something cool. You could have had something, like, remotely interesting. But instead, it's like, nope, fuck it. Every Mega Man game is gonna end the goddamn same. I don't even think I'm using the right... It would be like if every Mega Man X game ended with the virus fight from X2. It's like, can you just come up with something different already? And so, here's your big fan service finale. And the fun fact is, every single one of these scenes actually shows the weapon he was weak to. So you have the Thunder Beam, the rolling cutter, or no, the bubble lead, the top spin, the Pharaoh shot. The Mega Buster was actually his weakness in the 5th one, as well as that could be for Beat as well. You have the Spring Coil from 7. That's the Astro Shot, I believe, from 8. And then there's Mega Man and Bass, which has always kind of been considered Mega Man 8.5, never a proper 9. And a lot of people overlook this scene. And I don't want to be one of those top 10 secret game theory people. But this is kind of the scene that shows you that Mega Man is not really quite all there. And I don't mean that like, oh, he's a fucking retard. But I mean like, Mega Man was programmed to be the perfect little boy. And while he gives off the impression that he's this heroic person, it's just because he's just programmed to be that way. And so you're going to find out in a couple seconds that Dr. Light is actually a fake. Yeah, he's a good boy, he didn't do nothing. And that's where, because, you know, if you're just a cursory fan of the Mega Man series, you don't think about how important it is that X is as free-willing and free-thinking as he is. And this scene here just shows you, it's like, Mega Man didn't give a shit. All he wanted to show you was that it's like, nope, Dr. Light's in trouble, that's all I think. Okay, so here's the ending full of all the fun artwork. Yep, here we go. Every Robot Master gets a drawing with one of the other Mega Man characters. Because you never really think about it if you don't know the, if you don't know the story to the games, you don't actually think about it too hard, but most of the Robot Masters are stolen. They're never actually, they haven't actually been created by Wily since, like, I think 2 and, 2, 7, 8, and Mega Man and Bass are the only games where Wily actually made the robots himself. In Mega Man 3, they were a collaborative effort. In Mega Man 4, they were Cossacks robots. In 5, they were all stolen. In 6, they were all stolen. And the Robot Masters in Mega Man 9, these are actually all Dr. Light's robots that were stolen by Wily. So it's kind of a retread of Mega Man 1. I mean, the manga actually goes far enough to have, like, Gutsman and Concrete Man be rivals, you know, Magma Man and Fireman be rivals. Oh yeah. Well, it doesn't get any better in the X series, I can tell you that much. There goes butt plug, man. You know, one of the things I always liked about the Mega Man series is that all of the robots had that same, like, helmet. So, what I mean by that is, you know, Mega Man's got the helmet, Rush has the helmet, Beat has the helmet, Tango has kind of a slight difference, but still has the helmet. You know, funny you mentioned that. I've been piggybacking Fujo's Netflix account, and Netflix has a lot of their own original series that they just kind of snatched up and made a brand new series out of. So, like, you know, coming from a European family, I watched a lot of Danger Mouse as a kid. So Netflix has their own, like, I don't want to say season 2, but they made their own, like, modern reboot of Danger Mouse. And funny you mentioned Penny, they have a modern reboot of Inspector Gadget too, and it's actually pretty good. I mean, it's Canadian CGI garbage, but it's not bad. Okay, so before we move on to Mega Man 10, I want to show you what I was talking about. So, for beating the game, you unlock the other stuff. So Proto Man mode is a mode where you can play as Proto Man, and he takes double the damage, but he can charge shot and slide. So one of these days I am going to come back and stream Proto Man mode, because it changes the story slightly too. Hero mode makes the game even harder, and Superhero mode is this ungodly, like, Devil May Cry Heaven or Hell mode where you just get your ass kicked. Like Met's winking at you from the other side of the room. The mode where you fall through the ground and die. Alright, so I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. Because of my hilariously incompetent video editing skills, I'm going to cut the stream here and then start up again on 10. Because I don't want to have to edit this myself. So stay right here, I'll be right back.